What is up, squad? Welcome. We are super excited to introduce the inaugural episode of Scale Your Studio. I'm here with my good friend Michael, and we are the co-founders of Reality Hacker Game Studios. And our mission as a studio really is to work with indie devs like you and help you grow your studio, grow and scale your studio in ways that don't require you to sacrifice the creative values and the creative visions that you had that initially made you fall in love with what you do. And so that's what we're hoping to do with this podcast is just share little quick episodes of insight and chat about things like business, marketing, entrepreneurship, things that have a bit of a bugaboo to them in the industry, but they don't have to, and they're really necessary things to learn. So we're super excited to chat. Today we're just going to be kind of talking about the way Mike and I see business and the way that it should be looked at. People don't have to see it as a bad thing. So, Mike, what's up?
Yeah, what's up, man? No, super excited to be here with you. I think it's time for a change in the game industry, right? Like we're seeing a lot of these big studios just put out the same kind of content, ignoring the player bases blatantly. And gaming has become a heavily commercialized, profit-focused industry without holding true to, as you said, the original vision that keeps people excited about games, right? And I can name a bunch of games off the top of my head. I'm not going to because I don't want to get in trouble for slander. But you know what I mean? There's something to be said about making a difference today and not just building a game that makes money, but building a game that allows you to remain true to who you are as a developer, as a creator, as an artist. And I think the biggest kind of lie that so many indie studios believe is that they can't build an amazing game and make a lot of money at the same time and maintain the moral, the value, the fundamental kind of core value that they started their studio with, right?
Right, absolutely. I see the sentiment so much where you see so many like very talented devs, very talented artists just frustrated because they work their ass off and they create something that they're very proud of, but no one recognizes it. No one sees it. No one gives it any attention. And they see companies, like you said, that we're not going to mention, put out games that we all recognize are soulless and have no life to them, making all this crazy amounts of money. And I think you touched on it. The disconnect there is that so many artists in general buy into the lie that focusing on money, focusing on business, focusing on marketing, and putting effort into that is counter to building something out of passion, or like it has to be mutually exclusive to building something that you're passionate about or something that you believe in. And one thing I really hope that we get out of this call today is to express how real business is an exchange of value. What we
Yeah.
see in these big companies that are charging ludicrous amounts of money for games that are broken and unfinished, that is not real business. And I think we
Yeah.
can see in the industry with these waves and waves of layoffs that those companies are starting to fail because they've lost track of real business. A
Yeah.
true business is one that is making something of high value and importance to someone else where the other person is happily parting ways with something of value to them. It is, even if you want to ignore money, it's an exchange of value. I am giving you this thing of value, you are giving something that I value.
Yeah.
That's business at its core. And there are
Yeah.
companies that are making lots of money properly. You look at Larian Studios with Baldur's Gate 3, they are being hailed right now because they're doing so many things right. They busted ass making a game that they knew their audience was going to love. They made something truly valuable, and now they're receiving the value back. People are paying them money. They put a lot of work and they deserve to make a big reward off of what they put out.
Yeah, dude, you speak to something that I think is so freaking important. And this is something that I think, this goes into the deeper mind of a developer here. The idea that you don't deserve to be rewarded for creating something beautiful is really nothing more than a limiting belief. Like at the end of the day, if you create something that changes somebody's lives, and how many games can we say have changed our lives? Like how many times have we seen the clips of the last jump in Halo 3 where the caption says, this is where boys became men. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
bro.
for me, gosh, one of the OG Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, one of the most amazing storylines in history, in my opinion. And it's like $10. It still has an amazing storyline, and it's on sale for like $10 on a regular basis. And I think the studio that built that game, they're no longer making those games, but it's like, you can tell when a studio puts their heart into a game. And I think most start this way. Just like, honestly, dude, if we can relate it back to music, right? You and I both have a mutual music career. When you're in a garage, when you're making an album for the first time, you're not sponsored by a studio. You don't have all these expectations and these deadlines and these dates. It's so much easier to create something from the heart. But the moment, up until this point in music, in game development, in so many industries, the moment you begin to bring a heavy business focus into the art loses its substance. And if we could summarize the goal of what we're trying to do at Reality Hacker Studios, I feel like you would agree with me. It's to grow the business without losing the substance, right? And we believe it's possible. We've seen it's possible, right? Not just with games, but with Reality Hacker as a company. It's possible to grow something really big, really massive, make you a lot of money that allows you to support your family, live your life, create whatever you want without sacrificing the core value, the core intention that you started the project off with in the first place.
Right. 100%. I mean, not only is maintaining the integrity of the initial passion, the initial art, not only is that possible, it's necessary to thrive for a extended amount of time. I mean, again, to touch on why so many of these big companies are failing now, they've lost touch with that art. Any company that stays alive for a long time, it's because they're still providing the value. You can definitely be a business, you could be in business by conning people and scamming people and giving them broken toys and broken games and not providing the value that you're telling them you're going to provide. That will work for a short time, but that entity goes out of business. That entity does not stay there. The only businesses that thrive for 30, 40, 50 years and on are the ones that continue to provide value. There's nothing wrong, like you said, with wanting to have a return on the value you provide. And
Yeah.
I think we're seeing some people become more and more hungry for that knowledge. Like, why am I not? I'm putting so much work into what I
Yeah.
made. I put so much love. We've been working on this game for 7 years, and we only got 20 Kickstarter backers. Like, why did that happen? It's because, again, you're creating limiting. They tend to be creating limiting beliefs around themselves. Where I don't want to work on all of this marketing copy and Facebook ads and salesy stuff because that feels gross. But it's like you're missing out on, if anything, you're doing a disservice to the player base that would love your game by not doing things like that because they can't find you. They don't know you exist. You can't. I can't support something I don't know exists. You know?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I love where you're talking, man, here because, for all the indie studios that are listening to this, man, like you deserve to thrive, right? And I get it, right? Zach and I both have a background, right? We both have a background in digital marketing. At one point, Facebook ads and copy and all that shit was super complex to us. And it felt like a big question mark, right? And at the end of the day, this is where you as a studio begin to transition from just an artist into a business, right? Because now you're just not a solo sort of developer, you're now becoming a CEO. And if you want your studio to thrive, if you want to build experiences that last, experiences that people love, experiences that people thrive on and think, man, I remember when I was sitting in my room and I did the flood mission in Halo 2 for the first time and I saw all those freaking spiders pop out and I was scared out of my mind, right? Like, imagine if Bungie or 343 back in the day did no marketing. No, dude, like, the end of the day, part of being an entrepreneur, an indie studio, is taking a bet on yourself. Take a risk. Get out there and I think part of this on the other side of this is like, we don't want to be criticized. We don't want to put our stuff out there because we're afraid of what people are going to say. I've been there, right? Absolutely. But that's part of growing, is being okay with being some people's cup of tea and not being other people's cup of tea, right? But as an
Yep.
indie studio, your job is to transition if you're going to call yourself, if your aspirations are to truly build something that people thrive on, you need to begin to make the transition from I'm just spending time in Unreal, in Unity, working on this thing for hours a day, for months at a time, to okay, how do I begin to build a player base? How do I begin to, taking from Russell Brunson, ClickFunnels, right? How do I begin to build 1,000 true fans? Because
Yep.
you see it, Zach, I see it. A game that has 1,000 true fans is sustainable forever,
Yep. Yep.
right? And if I'm not learning what I need to learn in order to build that player base, I'm wasting my time. Like devs, why are you not giving yourself the attention you deserve? Why are you not giving yourself the love, the recognition, the exchange of value that you deserve for all the hard work that you've been doing, right?
Yep.
You deserve it, but it's most likely for again because most humans deal with the same psychology, it's most likely because you believe you don't deserve it. It's most likely
Yep.
because or you're just so afraid of failure, which is totally cool. We all deal with that, right? That you're not even getting to a place psychologically where you're able to take the necessary action to start growing in the way you need to.
Yeah, and it's funny with that fear of failure because I can speak to this as a like very recent realization for myself. Generally, that fear of failure results in perfectionism. I need to keep working before I share this. It needs to be perfect before I share it because it can't fail. If I share it before it's perfect, no one will like it. And that's the fear. Your fear is that you're going to put out something you really care about and no one's going to respond to it, right? But the
Yeah.
funny thing about that complex is because you are now hiding behind your wall of perfectionism, you're guaranteeing the outcome you're afraid of. No one can like something they don't see. So by
Yeah.
hiding what you're trying to share, you are guaranteeing the thing you're trying to avoid. It's the same exact outcome. Whether you share it and people don't like it or you don't share it, the outcome is the same. You have no fans. So
Yeah.
you either can go one route where you guarantee that outcome, or you can go the route where there's a chance of something amazing happening. I don't remember where I heard this psychological exercise, but it's one I use daily. If you are going to entertain the worst case scenario of an opportunity, then you owe it to yourself to also entertain the best case scenario and weigh them
Mhm.
together, right? So if the
Yeah.
worst case scenario is I release my game and it gets review bombed, everybody hates it. Okay, then you start another one. What's the best case scenario? You release your game and it blows the fuck up and everyone loves it. And now you have momentum towards this thing that you've always dreamed of doing, right? And that's something I use on a daily basis because you're talking
Yeah.
to senior imposter syndrome here, bro. Like I live with that every single day. And that exercise is a absolute crucifix to that problem for me because it's like very few times does the worst case scenario outweigh the best case scenario. It's usually like best case scenario would be life changing, worst case scenario would be kind of an inconvenience. So it's like, why
Yeah.
would you not take that bet? You know?
Yeah. Well, and let's not pretend that, something has to be fully fleshed out in order for people to love it, right? Like
True
seriously, how
too.
many games have we seen? Pal World is a great example. Pal World came out janky as crap, dude,
Yep.
but it grew a raving fan base so insanely. And I feel like we've seen so many games come out that I remember when Rust first came out, bro.
Yep.
I played Rust for a long time when it first came out, dude. It was not fully fleshed out. And what's
Uh,
it, right? Like,
Minecraft was a tech demo, if I remember correctly.
dude, yeah. Like, you don't have to have a finished product for people to love it. Like, and relating it back to other industries like music, how many times have we recorded a demo, not fully mastered, not fully produced, but we just share it and people are like, holy crap, this has the makings of something wonderful, right?
Yep.
So, like,
Yep.
let's get over the idea that something needs to be completely done for you to share it with the world because the reality is the people that matter don't care and the people that don't care don't matter,
Yep.
right?
Right. Or the people that
Like,
don't. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I know. I was thinking about it as I
Yeah.
said.
No. There's a lot of don'ts involved. No, but you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. That speaks to the thousand true fans, right? Like you're gonna.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter what you do, whatever you create, whatever you share. There is always going to be an equal amount of people, if not more people, that dislike what you did. then there are
Yeah.
people that like it. There's nothing you can do to avoid that.
Yeah. And sometimes I think people don't like what you do just because they're not the ones doing it. It's not because your product is bad, it's because they're jealous.
Yep.
And it's like, dude, at the end of the day, and we talked about this morning, right? On our other call, your job is to iterate as quickly as possible because the quicker
Yep.
you iterate, the more data you get, the more refining you can do. But if you're not building and then sharing and then getting feedback as quickly as possible, you have no idea what direction to go. You become overly emotional about what you're doing, and then you end up sabotaging yourself. Because instead
Yep.
of sitting here, yes, and I get it, like, I don't want to share something that's fully finished because it feels like looking at a picture of me half naked. And it's like, I get it, right? But it's like, dude, you have to look at yourself in the mirror some point and say, man, I'm gaining a little bit of a muffin top. It's time to go to work, right? Like, I
Yep.
have to be able to look, share, get feedback, refine, optimize, and go again and again and again. And listen, man, if you are a dev that's listening to this and you're like, dude, I don't have anywhere that I'm comfortable doing that, join our school community. Like,
Yep.
as much as this term has been overused, it's a safe space for devs, dude. We're not going to judge you. And honestly, anybody that comes in this community talking crap about other devs or giving emotionally biased feedback that does not reflect a true um, concept of thought, they're not allowed, man, because
Yeah.
at the end of the
Gone.
day, our passion here is about helping indie studios, man. Like, I remember so many times thinking, dude, if I could just do what I love and make money doing it, I'd be fine, right? I'd be
Yep.
totally happy. And in a lot of ways, that is the ultimate goal here, doing what you love, making money doing it, and not having the thing that you're doing to make money become something that becomes about the money. Because that's
Yeah.
where the studios go wrong. They start to make money on it, but then instead of focusing on enhancing the experience, they begin to focus on the money. That's where the passion is lost. That's where these major studios have went completely south because instead of caring about the core reasons why players originally started playing and hung on, zombies, right? Like, we do a bunch of different stuff that's like, oh yeah, well, we're going to completely change the way this is going on. We know most of the player base doesn't like it, but at the end of the
Yep.
day, there's just enough people to keep revenue flowing. And it's like, dude, we're not about that life.
Right. Right. The money is a critical part of the success of your studio, but it should not be the first part. It should not be the first question. And that's a common misconception. We run into um that barrier every time we try to share some content on social media. Oh, you guys are all about the money. It's like we're not all about it, but we're definitely about it because good luck continuing to do what you do without it, right? And I think
Yeah.
it's important to touch on too, since we're talking about an artistic field, like this is all, if you're a dev listening, this is all if you're in a spot where you feel that you have a desire to make a career out of this and you're running into roadblocks you don't understand how to overcome them. If you are someone who's just you've got a job that you like and you're deving just to dev and you want to make the most innovative, unique, harebrained, crazy game that you feel passionate about, you don't care whether people like it, that's cool too. There's a place for that. There's a place for super niche abstract art, right? And I'm not trying to tell anybody that being okay with not making a career out of this art form is not okay. If you're cool needing to make your money somewhere else, that's fine. We want to reach the people who are can't imagine giving their time in the day to anything else and are just not finding the solutions to get to that next level. You are taking steps, you're putting in the work because this shit's hard work. I will never claim to be someone who's got the easy pill for you. Ever, 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 ever. I can make it simple for you, but I can't make the shit easy. It's hard. Um, and you really got to have that desire to build a business because that's what you're going to do. Mike touched on earlier, in order to take that step you have to understand that you're letting go of being just a developer and you're taking on this new mantle of I'm a business owner, I'm a CEO. You're taking on this mantle of I need to understand how to barter in this value exchange. I'm no longer just making artwork for me. I am making something that I want to be valuable to a group of people. And it's a
Yeah.
very big mindset shift, but it's a lot of fun to get to, because once you get to that place where you're getting comments and reviews and messages, like Mike said, dude, that end level where we're in the freaking warthog and everything's exploding behind us, and dude, me and my brother just had the best time of our life playing that. Hey, I
Yeah.
want you guys to know that the raid that you just released in your game, I now met my three new best friends by preparing for that raid. We're actually meeting together in real life next month. Like, when you
Yeah.
get to a place where you're making things that facilitate that kind of outcome for people, it's a different experience. You'll realize that your love for the art form is minuscule compared to your love for doing that for people. Once you taste that for the first time, it's incomparable to anything else.
Yeah. Dude, so good. And I love where you're going with that, because what people don't understand is that when you create those deep connections in a game, all of a sudden, like, so if you start playing and then you invite one of your friends and they invite one of their friends and you're getting deep into the lore, well, guess what's happening there? Purchases, in-game transactions, like creating the experience that builds emotional attachments between humans, not only increases player longevity, but increases revenue in the game. Like, the best thing you can do as a dev is figure out how to keep people in your game longer, how to forge deep connections. This is where we're talking about getting the revenue going without making the revenue the focus. Because if you can look at these aspects of, dude, we've done it, right? With Destiny, that's a perfect example,
I was
right?
just about to
Like,
say, bro.
how many times are we talking about drip? Oh man, your drip is sick, dude. I got to go to the Eververse store and I got to buy
Yeah.
this. I got to do that, right? Like, if you can focus on building a solid experience, you can begin to build revenue. But if you're not sharing your game with the world, if you're not sharing your art, if you're not getting feedback, if you're not treating it like a CEO, getting a minimum viable product, getting feedback on that, going back and iterating, how are you ever going to get, because that's where I think that's the ultimate game dev dream. Let me create an experience for people. You know, you see the videos, oh, I took my husband or my wife to meet their gamer friend that they've been playing with for 3 years, and it's like the ultimate, that's the pinnacle, right? But if I am not acting like a CEO, if I'm not iterating, if I'm not giving opportunity for feedback, if I'm not constantly looking to improve, constantly finding, we talked about this in the Facebook group the other day, the ideal player base. If I'm
Uh-uh.
not finding these people, man, I'm not giving my games a chance to succeed. I'm not giving my studio a chance to succeed. And then I'm not moving any closer to my goal of being able to make games, doing what I love, and then make money doing it, supporting my family, right?
100%. You're ultimately, again, like we said, you're doing your potential community a disservice. You are robbing them of you by not sharing what you do. Look,
Yeah.
you're, again, no matter what you share, you could share the most freaking next gen, how is that possible looking piece of tech demo or whatever that you're working on. You could share the most mind blowing piece of content ever. People are going to be like, that looks like shit. This looks like a stupid idea. This is ridiculous. Like Mike said, those people don't matter. What matters in the sea of 20 negative comments is the one comment that's like, I could not be more excited for this. Those are
Yeah.
your people. You're never going to find them by hiding behind perfectionism.
It's so true, man. It's so true. I love where this episode has gone, man. And hopefully for the devs listening, dude, you guys are getting pumped up to share. And listen, right? We talk about finding that space to share. Join our school community, man. Like, get that feedback that you deserve there. And honestly, if you're looking for other ways to monetize your existing skills, get on the beta list for our Reality Forge marketplace that we're building. Right, it's a full scale marketplace for indie devs to come and barter and exchange services, wisdom, learning, knowledge, and ultimately allow us as a community of indie developers to work in the spirit of collaboration rather than competition.
Love it. I mean, I could not have said that better, right? It's a game of finding your tribe. You know, it's a very difficult journey to go alone, and that's the main reason Mike and I started up this company and this group and this podcast and the community is that importance of connection. It's so so hard to take a journey like this by yourself with no feedback, no support, not hearing other people struggling with the same thing you're struggling with. You're putting it on freaking legendary difficulty for no reason, right? Again, it's
And you're doing
still
it solo.
you're doing it solo, bro. Like it's not the, I'm not having PTSD moments right now with Destiny. Um, but like again, bro, it's not going to make it easy, but it makes it simpler to have people in your corner, right? And
Yeah.
that's what we want to do. We want to help you shoulder the burden of because it's scary, right? To switch from that mantle of just the developer. I did this for my entire life. I still do it a lot, where you choose a smaller identity and you convince yourself that you're fine with that because it allows you to justify not chasing the really scary things. For the longest time, I've had this inborn desire to do what me and Mike are doing and put myself out in a coaching capacity and in a leadership capacity to help people do what they want to do. But I ignored it. I told myself, no, I'm just a video game music composer. That's who I am because it allowed me to hide in my studio. It allowed me to just write music, share music, work on some games. I didn't have to risk the idea of failing at being this thing I really loved the idea of being.
Yeah.
You're robbing yourself. You are
Yeah.
robbing yourself. So we 100% encourage you, even if you're not ready to make that big jump yet, join the community, chat with us, chat with the members. I encourage you to at least, again, like I said, if the worst case scenario is trying and failing at this thing that you've dreamed of doing, entertain the best case scenario and take a
Yeah.
few steps towards it and see where it takes you.
100%, man. What a great way to wrap this thing up. Zach had an amazing conversation today. I'm excited for the next conversation.
Bro, yeah, this is awesome.
Out here to support these studios, man. You guys are so awesome. You're seen, dude. We see you. We care about you. And we want you to thrive, right? That's it, dude. So, man, you'll find the link to our school community in the link in this in the description of this episode. If you're listening to this from a link you saw in a Facebook group, the link to the school community is probably in that Facebook post as well. Anywhere else you're listening, just type in the Scale Your Studio podcast, and you'll be able to find all of the resources. We've got worksheets for you. We've got downloads. We've got tips and tricks, growing your audience, identifying the people that are going to love your game, going to pay you more for it than anybody else, and they're going to love shelling that money out for you, man. We are on your bench. We're on your team. Man, you guys have an amazing afternoon. Thanks so much, Zach.
Oh, Mike, it was a pleasure. You guys, y'all crush it. We hope to see you in the community.
Peace.